I call this meeting of the Diamond Head POA to order. Madam Secretary, will you please call the roll?
President Sislo,
Present.
Vice President Giarrusso,
Present.
Treasurer Blackwood,
Present.
Secretary Damien's present, Director LaFontaine,
Here.
Director Lee,
Here.
Director Nutting, Director Pino,
Here.
Director Tubbs,
Present.
ex officio Becker.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Madam Secretary, approval of the minutes, please.
Approval of minutes, March 17th, 2025. Minutes were approved by email vote completed on March 20th, 2025.
Thank you very much. May I have a motion to approve and/or amend the meeting agenda? No? Nobody wants to have?
I'll make the motion.
Okay. LaFontaine makes a
second.
motion,
I second.
seconded by Damien. So we're approving the agenda as it stands. President's report. I would imagine everyone is aware of the sudden passing of Director Stuart Strohmeyer. He was a valued member of this board, having served as chairperson of the Administration Committee, as a member of the Facilities Committee, and he was valued because he shared his expertise in many of our heavy discussions. He will be greatly missed. The bylaws mandate that there be 11 members of the Board of Directors, and that a special meeting be called to elect a replacement should there be more than 1.5 years remaining on a term. So we are proceeding with the plan. The POA staff is setting up an election cycle, and we hope to use the October members meeting for that purpose. There are requirements for notifying the membership when the meeting is several months long. We also need to notify everybody that the position is available. So this will take us probably into November. We will continue to share the information as the plans come together and as we have the announcement of people who are willing to throw their hat in the ring for candidacy. And please consider being a candidate for this position. We would like the assistance. This past month, the board had held a special meeting on Monday, April 7th, to fully review the plans to reduce expenses that were discussed at last month's board meeting. We reviewed each plan and some staffing changes, and in the process, we tried to assure that we are allowing ourselves flexibility should the ideas not work. Flexibility and quick adjustments are some of the key attributes we are trying to use to achieve a positive bottom line for the year, while assuring as much continuity of services as possible and only approving capital expenditures that are absolutely needed. And I would remind you that our community and our amenities are going on 50 years old. And if anybody of you live in a house that's been built in 1972, you know that there's upgrades needed. We're going to try to do the best we can with what we've got. Our GM has a report that will fill you in on some of the details that resulted from those discussions. But additionally, at the meeting, we realized now is the time to begin to plan for what the future of the amenities looks like. The board has asked that a committee be created to formulate a plan that can be reviewed and approved by all involved parties. You'll see that motion on tonight's agenda. We have not yet agreed upon the makeup of the committee, nor concluded the method by which the plan will take place, but that will be determined after the motion is approved. The board's goal is to assure we seek solutions that result in having our community retain its unique attributes. It may be different than today, but hopefully something that is much better than what we're faced with right now with the crisis of funding. I'm going to refer to Rick's report for more details. Thank you. Committee reports, please. Director Pino.
The Marina Airport committee did not meet last month, but the admin committee did meet and did have a resolution that affected the airport, and that is, and I'll steal Bill's thunder on this one little point. The admin committee suggested that the board consider for 2026 that a user fee be instituted for the use of the airport. As everybody knows, there's user fees for golf, there's user fees for marina, there's user fees for tennis. And we're going to look at, or they suggested that the board look at instituting a user fee for the airport. That's it.
Thank you. Director Tubbs?
Yeah, hey, good evening, everybody. The Rec Committee did meet a couple weeks ago. Two agenda topics were the primary focus. The first was talking through ideas for additional revenue generation. Obviously, the Rec Committee, we deal closely with the swimming pools and a number of other amenities that currently do not on their own generate revenue. And so we've tried to be creative in ways that we can help to bring in resources that we can use, because there's a lot that the committee wants to do. We come together with a number of ideas where upgrades are needed, and most all of these require some degree of expense. And so the result of that discussion was the agenda item that we'll discuss later on today, of the concept of selling membership for swimming pool access to non-members in a similar fashion. And keep in mind, the precedent of this has already been set. We've done it for golf for a number of years, and that's been a source of additional revenue. And so that's what the committee asked the board to consider. I will say, just as a preface, and I know we'll get to this agenda item, I am open to hold or I guess delaying the vote on this for a month if we think that makes sense. Rick did reach out to me and let me know that this generated some passionate feedback among folks. And while we did work it through committee and we did get the proposal out, I would see no harm necessarily in taking a little bit of time to try to engage with the community and hear if there are concerns, what those concerns are, to make sure that we do this in a way that makes sense for the membership. So that's something that I, as the Rec Committee Chair, I'd be open to. The second agenda topic, we talked about how we all felt the need to better engage with the membership in terms of understanding the amenities that they most value, where the biggest priorities are, where with limited funding that we have to make investments, we want to make sure that, as a Rec Committee, we're recommending those investments are being made in places that the membership cares most about. And so the committee worked to put together some outreach, draft language on a survey that we've shared with the GM, gotten Rick's input on, and we've shared with the larger board, and it's something that the committee's recommending that we pursue. We've done this before at Diamond Head. It's been a number of years, I think, and I don't know how successful we were with the response rate when it was done some years back. Nobody likes filling out surveys, myself included. But I do think we're at a point in time where having real data, where the membership has an opportunity to weigh in on these amenities is critical. And I know this kind of goes hand in hand with the proposal, the other proposal on the agenda, where we're looking at the future of those assets. And so that was primarily what we discussed, and intend to follow up with that group in May as well. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Director LaFontaine?
Yes, the House Committee met on Wednesday, April the 3rd. The committee would like to recommend the development of a Latitude 30 Facebook page that would provide information, photos, and events and weekly specials at the club. The new lighting has been installed by facilities on the patio, and that has enhanced the experience on the patio. It came out quite nice. And last but not least, beginning Monday, May 5th, a happy hour will be offered at Latitude 30. Details are still being worked out.
Okay, thank you very much. Vice President Giarrusso?
Nothing to report.
Thank you. Secretary Damons?
Nothing to report.
Treasurer Blackwood?
Yes, the admin committee did meet. Financial topics were the audits. The audits for 21 and 22 have been posted on the Facebook page, not the Facebook, the
The website?
website. I don't post anything on Facebook. Sorry about that. And we have a schedule to get caught up on the 23 and 24 audits. That's going to be done by June 30th. We're behind based on COVID and the auditors not coming in and everything, but the audits need to be caught up and be issued every year. Anyway, the other item we discussed was the accounts receivable. We have like $2.5 million worth of past due dues accounts, and we're working on a flow chart on how we can go about trying to collect some of that money. That's the only items I have.
Thank you. Ex officio, Mr. Becker?
I defer to the committee chairs.
And hiding down there is Director Lee.
Yeah, the Golf and Greens Committee met on April 2nd. Really, there was a lot of good information passed along from the Green Superintendent, on the courses. The courses are, as soon as we get some of this rain, will be in spectacular shape, I think. The main point that came up was that there was some conversation on legacy tee times and some of the criteria for maintaining those legacy tee times. We really are still looking at the data on how many people actually utilize them. It looks like about 40% of our members are a member of one or more of these legacy tee times. So they get quite a bit of utilization. We really haven't seen any negatives. So at this time, we're just going to make sure we clarify to all the groups what legacy, what the actual standards are for you to maintain the legacy nomination. And other than that, I mean, everybody else is on 30-day tee times. So we had some good conversation, and we'll continue to monitor the data we get back from the pro shop.
Okay, thank you very much. Mr. Goldstein, would you like to give your report, please? Yes, please. I know you can speak loudly, but use the mic, please.
Can everybody hear me?
Yeah.
All right. I really love this town. What's not to love? Golf, fishing. You can drive your golf cart to the grocery store. It's a great place. And we had some great events this month, starting with the Big Kahuna Golf Tournament. The Chiwi concert was awesome. I want to thank Darrell Davis and Craig Harvey for their efforts to raise money for the Marine Corps League of Mississippi. This group helps our veteran soldiers who are struggling. Thank our golf members who participated in the tournament, and then my entire staff. This team really stepped up. The kitchen, the restaurant, the golf operations, admin, marketing, facilities groups, everybody worked together to ensure a great event. And again, I want to thank everybody for that. We also had the kids fishing rodeo. It was awesome, guys. It was great. We had over 100 kids participate. Lots of fish were caught. Some lucky fishermen got the special red-tagged fish to win a prize. Lunch was served. Everybody enjoyed the day, and each kid got to take home a T-shirt and a fishing pole. Pretty awesome. Then we had the Easter egg hunt. Always a great time for families, and our aptly named Hoppy Smith was our Easter bunny. All right, now I'm going to go through the financials. I've said this multiple times, and I'll probably continue to say it. Change is always difficult. Immediate change is even more of a challenge. Nobody in this town is more thrilled to say planned organizational changes to reduce costs are complete. Can I repeat that? Planned organizational changes to reduce costs are complete. We're good with that now. We finished. I spoke last month about having positive cash flow in February and said that one data point does not make a trend. We now have two positive data points. March numbers were as follows. Revenue was $798,000. Expenses were $688,000 for a net gain in cash flow of $110,000 for the month of March. The P&L was $51,000 positive. We're now projecting positive figures for the remainder of the year. Our bank balance is projected to grow from 1.4 million to 1.7 million, barring any high capital expenses. I'm also happy to announce that these changes have allowed the POA board to reconsider the holiday pool. We are now planning to keep all 4 pools open this year. All 4 pools will stay open this year. And then I'd like to take a minute to discuss the business model that originated with the POA. We have a town full of great amenities, but the cost to maintain these amenities was built on 100% participation of the POA dues. We're in a situation now where we have a 40% drop in that area, and that presents major challenges. The POA dues are the main source of income. This was not acted upon early enough and left this board in financial straits. Our strategy to get back on track was to get spending under control, and this has been completed. However, this is not enough. A healthy company must have at least 6 months of expenses in the bank. We have 2 months' worth of expenses. We do not have the capital funds to replace worn-out equipment. That's the issue right now. We have enough to continue to operate and do it profitably, but we can't operate in the long term because we can't afford the capital expenses to keep our amenities in great working order. Our next and most important challenge is to raise revenue. This is paramount for us to keep all the amenities. We simply cannot achieve this without revenue growth. As I think we discussed before, we're planning to start a committee to seek ideas. This starts with a survey to all Diamond Head. In order to create our path forward, we must better understand the thoughts of our membership, both active and inactive. Your feedback is hugely important to us. The best solution would be for everybody to pay their POA dues. I urge you to pay your POA dues. Our amenities help maintain the property values. Added revenue would allow us to do more for our members. We could invest in things like the pickleball courts. Right now, we can't. Again, I urge everyone to pay their dues.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Board members have any questions? Okay, do we have any POA members wanting to comment on agenda items?
We have one, Mary Jo Hirsch. She passes.
She passes. Okay, then we'll go to the regular agenda. It sounds a little strange, but I move that we decommission the Past Futures Committee and the Futures 2.0 Committee and establish a new committee to develop the vision of Diamond Head recreational amenities that will sustain the community into the future. I am proposing the committee would be comprised of members in good standing that also included the POA board president, 2 board members, the POA general manager, the city manager, if he's a member in good standing, 2 city council representatives, a member whose covenants have not expired, and a former city mayor or council person. Would anybody be willing to second that motion?
I'll second.
Okay, thank you very much. I'll start to speak on it. I feel like I'm dominating here, but as our meeting on April 7th, we decided we need a committee to move us forward. As the general manager pointed out, it's time to figure out how we're going to have revenue to sustain our amenities. How are we going to do this? In the past, there have been Futures Committee of the board. It's been made up of several board members and several other members, and they've compiled ideas, and they haven't gotten any resolution from those ideas. But the door has hit us in the face. We have to start making decisions now. So my proposal is to try to wrap in a bigger group, more people. I believe personally that there's no real difference between the city and the POA. We are all citizens of Diamond Head, and we're really all members of the Property Owners Association, whether our covenants have expired or not. And we need to work together somehow to figure out how we can maintain what we've got here. And so that is the plan that I see that we could put forth. I would like to see this committee charged with developing a plan that can be be presented to all key parties for approval and enactment. And this is where I'm seeing we need to include the city council and other interested parties that need to be involved in agreeing to what we plan. I'm hoping that we could push a committee for a 6-month timeline. That I have a bit of a Pollyanna attitude, I have to be careful, but I really think we can't be waiting. We've got to keep moving forward and pushing for that. There's the financial impact at this point in time, from my perspective, is really finding future funding for the amenities so that we can keep everything existing in our community. I also believe we'd probably have to incur some legal expense to verify that ideas are legally possible to do. So that's my statement about this. Can I have other comments from others? Yes, sir.
This committee would not be activated until after the new council and mayor go into office July 1st.
I was thinking that would be the most logical, yes, to wait until the new city council is formally formed. It might be possible, since we know some of the city council members are already lame duck, or they're there because there's no one to oppose them, that we might be able to start there earlier. It would be nice if we could.
That's fair enough.
Anybody else? Yes.
So the current Futures Committee consists of everybody on the board. Is there a reason not to have everybody on the board, or what's the reasoning behind that?
Well, my reasoning behind the description of who is that a committee of more than 10 is an ineffective and incapable committee. You cannot function. There's too many people. So I wanted to limit it, and by doing so, trying to find ways to bring in other outside people that were really involved in concern. So that was the reason for limiting it. I'm open to changing that in some way, but I do think we need to keep it no more, 10 at the most, 9 at the best.
So, Nancy, I've got a question. I feel like the implication here, a lot of people are going to look into this and say, okay, this committee's figuring out a way to transfer ownership of amenities from the POA to the city. And I guess I just want to clarify if that's the intent, or are we going at this looking holistically at what makes sense? Certainly, I'm very supportive of any partnership, but I just want to be, I think we should just address that up front, right? Because that's, you know, I do go on Facebook, and I'm certain that that's going to be the first implication on there, right?
Sure. I do not believe that I am all-knowing, all-powerful, or all-wise. I believe that if a group of people has a rallying point around which to work, that they will then be able to come up with a solution or a plan. I have an opinion of how things could be. I have heard from other people on ideas of how things could be. So I'm trying to be as open to all the possibilities as I can. The past Futures Committee that I sat in on talked a lot about selling things. I don't know that selling is the right approach. I want to be open to what can we really do. How can we make this work? I guess that's where I'm coming from in thinking about this group.
No, I appreciate it. It sounds like you're very open to a broad set of possibilities. And for folks who may not be aware, you know, the city as a municipality does have opportunities for funding streams that are not available to a private POA. We've kind of seen the fruits of their work all around Diamond Head when you drive around. You know, we are all probably a little tired of construction, but hats off to the folks who really are rebuilding the infrastructure in this town. I don't know the various avenues of what is in the realm of possible, but it would be excellent if that committee were looking holistically, and it sounds like that is part of the vision. So appreciate the clarification.
That's my goal. Anybody else?
I have a question and then a comment. First question, your list of possible members includes a former city mayor or a former council person. What's the thinking behind that, and do you have someone in particular you're thinking of?
I don't have one particular person in mind, but as I don't know if you've noticed, but as I've been writing that little president's thing in the newspaper, I've tried to structure a discussion about the development of Diamond Head, where we came from and how we got to where we are. And as I was reading a lot of the history and people's reports of that, I saw indications that some of the early people that formed the city thought that there was a way that the POA could be wrapped into the city. And due to varying forces that have taken place over the past 15 to 20 years, that's not happened. So my thinking was maybe some of those people with history, I'm just trying to grab at one, you know, somebody who's had some experience and been part of the history could help frame a broad perspective on what could be possible. That's my only thinking. Perhaps there would be better to not have that person and have a real estate person, have somebody from the businesses, somebody, I don't know. I still want to keep it with a member in good standing the whole way.
Okay, well,
Does that clarify a little bit more what I was thinking?
I guess I was really wondering if you had a particular name involved that you were thinking of.
Well, you know, if you think about it, Chuck Ingram was the initial city mayor. He's got some opinions on how things would go. Ernie Knobloch's had some experience with both the city and the Property Owners Association. He might be a possibility. The other thought I was having as I suggested this was to open up the process, if you will, to have the various members of the community apply, just as we have for other committees, taking information, taking people's interest and reason and background to be able to meld into this committee. And rather than me choosing a person, having people choose and the group decide that they're a person that could serve the committee well.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
I guess here's my comment then. The description of this committee, to me, you're describing the main and the core function of a board of directors. It's to develop the plan for the future. So what you're doing, I think, in its essence, is you're taking away the powers from the board of directors and you're putting it into an unelected committee of people who, none of these people elected to run the POA, a city council person or former city council person or city mayor. They elected us, 11 of us, to do that job. And you said that committees of more than 10 are ineffective. That may be true, but we're a committee of 11. And it's our job to do this. And it's our job to develop the plan for the future. It's not the job for people who are not POA on the board of the POA or in the structure of the POA to do that. Quite simply, it's just not their job.
Well, my thoughts of kind of getting around that, if you will, was that this committee, just as all the other committees have, would develop a proposal to bring to this board. It would still be this board's final decision to oversee it, but rather than only us, broadening it so that we got a variety. That was my thinking, to avoid the fact that ultimately this board is responsible for what happens. You are very right.
Well, that's why I think you're putting the cart before the horse. I think this board should come up with a vision for the future, and I know that prior futures committees has fallen down on that. They haven't done it. It was their job to do it. They haven't done it. I was on some of those committees. We just didn't do it. Can't tell you what we did. We just didn't do anything, I think. And that's got to change. This board has to develop a plan for the future. Then, once this board, with the support of the members, decides it wants this as its future, that's when you bring in outside people to help shape and guide that process from a thought into an action. And it's not appropriate to bring those people in at the outset. You know, it says the president and 2 board members. I can tell you right now, I don't know who you're envisioning to put on that committee as a board member, but I'm coming to that meeting no matter what. I take this job seriously, and I'm not going to abdicate that job to somebody else. I'm going to come to the meeting. And I think everybody on this board should do the same. We should all be there for that meeting. The other issue is whether we ultimately sell amenities or not. That is certainly a possibility, and that to consider otherwise and just to foreclose the possibility of selling amenities to keep this place afloat with its core functions is ridiculous, I think. It's going to be part of the discussion, and you simply cannot, and who's the likely purchaser of some of those amenities? The city. It's completely inappropriate to have a committee where we sit down and talk with the opposing party in negotiations about, oh, do you think we should sell this amenity, and how much do you think we should sell it for? And, well, our lowest price would be this, or our highest price would be that. We cannot be discussing those kind of confidences with people from the city when the city may be on the other end of the negotiation table. Now, I agree with the concept, as I did with all the futures committees, that we sit and we meet and we discuss a plan for the future. For instance, the future of the POA may be a private country club with golf courses, a pickleball court, a tennis court, and some pools. That might be where this is all going. And you spin off the airport, you spin off the marina, you spin off Tennis World or not, you spin off the Camp House restaurant, and you keep everything else as a core function because that's what most people want, and that's what generates the income to let it survive in the future. But that's if that's the plan, it needs to be developed by the board. And we can't be talking and have people involved who may be opposing parties in making all that happen. So I agree with the idea of this. I object to the way you've got it drafted here. I would object specifically to not allowing all directors to be members. I would object to having any outside POA members, and not just POA members, any outside board members or typical committee members be part of that process.
Thanks. I value your opinion. I think it's important to think which comes first, the chicken or the egg, the cart or the horse. I think one direction, I think you think another. And it's important for everyone to hear that there's other ways of looking at this than what I put down on paper. My goal was to get this out so we had it to talk about, and we had it in writing, and we have it formalized, and I appreciate the fact that you have very important opinions about it. Thank you. Does anybody else want to?
I have something to say.
You go first, Meg.
Director Pino probably said it all, but like he said, I think this whole motion is putting the cart before the horse. First of all, the new council hasn't even been sworn in till July. There's a lot of talk about already the councils that have been running, that they are in with the POA, which is falsehood. But we can't go ahead and form this committee before they even get sworn in. Secondly, has the city manager even been informed that he's been thought of? Because now this is in writing, so now the city manager might be under attack because he might not even know any of this is going on.
No one has been informed of this, just this was my idea to bring to the group, let everybody hash it out, figure out what to do. But no, I haven't asked anybody if they want to be part of it. I've not done any of that.
I mean, I would like to see the council be sworn in before we start asking them to even be part of the committee. And I agree with Bob where, I mean, there's been some things that have happened where committees have made decisions without the board even knowing what's going on. And then the decision's already made, and there's no going backwards from that decision. And that was one of my main concerns with this, is that they're gonna make a decision, and let's just say they wanna sell the airport. And then all of a sudden, we do not get a say in what's going on because that's already been there's already a contract signed.
Right, well, that's an improper process that needs
It
to be
is.
corrected when it's wrong. The proposal does not include, I didn't think it included an improper process, but if it does, I'm willing, we'll never get this conversation going if we don't talk about it, so
Yeah.
whether you like my idea or not is fine with me. We're gonna just vote on it and decide tonight.
I just think
and
it's
go
too soon.
forward. I think it's important that we have all these opinions. Did you get to say all you wanted to?
Yeah, go ahead, Trey.
How about Trey? Okay, anybody else have a comment? Yes, sir.
If this were to be approved, would you see that the committee would report back to this board on a monthly basis or a regular basis so that we would stay involved with the process as it went along?
Certainly, I was structuring it on the typical committee process we have here in place where monthly they report.
Mhm. Okay.
Anybody else? Want to make sure everybody has a chance?
I do, I'm not allowed, I don't know if I'm allowed to speak or not.
Yes, you may because you're part of this decision.
I would just say that this really points out the importance of the survey, because we really need to understand what our membership, active or non-active, is thinking in order for us to really develop a strategy that's going to satisfy our membership, and that's the most important thing. There's a lot of strategies that will work. I think it's most important that people continue to fill out that questionnaire so that we can really understand what the thoughts of our constituency is, so that we can then create a strategy around that and have that committee work toward that.
Thank you. That's helpful. Anybody else have any comments?
You know,
Otherwise- I'm sorry.
I'm inclined to, my instinct right now is to make a motion to modify your motion to eliminate all the extra non-director people from attending. But I don't want to hijack your motion. I guess I'll leave it up to you. Do you want to live or die, and it might pass or it may not pass, or do we want to modify it to the point where the directors, with the help of the GM, would sit down and get serious about developing a vision for the future?
Well, as you're speaking and as I'm feeling the tenor of the group, the way this motion is written, you might notice the first words say to decommission the Past Futures Committee in 2.0. And we did start the session out together as a board with the Futures 2.0 committee being this board. And if this motion does not pass, it seems to me that Futures 2.0 committee still exists. We
Still exists, but it's not doing anything. I guess if
We
it's going to
kinda-
exist, it needs a kick in the pants so it does something.
Right. I do agree that it hasn't done anything in a while, but you have to admit we've been a bit sidetracked with a few changes that have gone on in the organization that have taken away from our ability to go forward. But it does allow it to be still there.
See, that's my biggest problem with the POA board. We can't do two things at once, ever. We need to do more than two things at one time. Yes, we were sidetracked. We had to hire a GM. We had to get rid of the old GM, blah, 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 blah. But we need to do more than one thing at a time, and I think we should be able to do more than one thing at a time and actually look at get the Futures Committee moving forward, actually to develop a plan while it's doing other things.
Okay, but if this motion doesn't pass, that committee's available to get kicked in the butt. Any other thoughts, board members? Then I'm going to call the vote. The motion is to decommission the Past Futures Committee and the Futures 2.0 Committee to establish a new committee to develop the vision of Diamond Head recreational amenities that will sustain the community into the future. You have it all in front of you, who would be on the board. All those in favor, raise your hand. 1, 2, 3. All those opposed? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You have your hand up, Ernie? Yeah, 5. 5 opposed, 3, 4. The motion fails. Thank you very much. It's been a really important discussion. I appreciate it. Okay, we have motion 2513. Who would like to make that motion?
I would like to make that motion.
And I second that motion. It is to begin selling an annual pool membership to interested parties beyond Diamond Head residents. The rec committee has drafted and circulated details and restrictions, but defers to the GM and recreation manager the authority to implement the selling of membership in the most efficient and effective manner with several limitations.
Yeah, and a couple clarifications. I know that attached to this proposal, there were some recommendations coming out of the rec committee that we passed along for consideration. Part of this, I think you're trying to drive, you're talking about a price point that for swimming pools is admittedly very high. right? Because we wanted to make sure that we weren't setting a price to where there was a better value being offered to our non-members, right? We want the very best deal that is sold by the POA should be going to its POA members, right? So that was kind of like the going in position. So when you look at the annual rate that we're talking about for joining our 4 pools, it's pretty significant, right? So, you know, as the group was talking, we wanted to try to sweeten the pot a little bit. And, you know, we included like some free golf, I think was in there, some access to walking trails. Those were just suggestions. I think part of the passion that we received was probably around those. Bob and Meg, I think, had sent me some email feedback. So I'd like to clarify that what we're coming forward with as a motion is to focus only on pool membership for a rate that is at least at the POA annual membership or higher. And I kind of leave it to the GM and the team to actually set that price point, but with that one limitation that you can't sell it for cheaper than annual membership. As I mentioned in the beginning, a lot of interesting feedback came in, you know, direct to Rick on this. And so I'm really interested. We've got a pretty good turnout here today. I don't know if it was the first topic that drove the turnout today or this one. You know, there is something that you give up when you do this, right? You do give up some exclusivity. You know, you've got people coming from outside of Diamond Head potentially to use our pools, and I get that there's a trade-off on that. At that price point, I wouldn't expect that we would be overwhelmed with, you know, thousands of people coming over to Diamond Head to use our pools. But we could certainly make sure that we set caps and limitations on it if that is part of the concern. To alleviate that. But really, I mean, remember why we're doing this. You know, last month there was discussion of shutting down Holiday Village Pool and not opening that. I don't think anybody on the rec committee was really thrilled that that was even being talked about as you know, a possibility. Kudos to Rick and team. I'm very happy to have all 4 of our pools open. But the reality is, as we've talked about, we need revenue. Right, and this is an opportunity that I think we should consider for doing that. And so I guess I'll pause, and I'm curious at any other input or thoughts from fellow board members or anybody else in the room. As I said, I'd be open to pausing this because you know, it occurs to me, I'm in my first year on this. You circulate these ideas, they go out, the agenda comes out, and we give people like 2 days to react. It's very tough, right? And so if it makes sense to let's hold for a month, I can share my email. Share my Facebook. I don't want to share my Facebook. I'll share my email, and it'd be great to hear where people's concerns lie, just to make sure that the board is well informed on where all the considerations are.
Thank you. Does anybody else? Trey?
I have a concern. Well, first of all, I like the idea or the revenue-driven idea of having this happen. My concern deals with the fact that we are getting rid of the pool attendance starting this year. I don't know when the last time that happened. I've only been here 6 years. But that it might drive some instability in that situation, having an influx of new membership, not knowing where they're coming from, and not having the reliability of having the attendance to be able to enforce some of the rules that we have or be able to check on the status of the members. That's just a concern of mine. I don't know if there's a workaround around that, but it's definitely
so
a
I mean,
concern.
it's an ongoing concern whether we do this or not of mine as well. But man, we sell 45 pool memberships, and we can maybe turn around and pay for the attendance, you know, with the revenue that generates, right? So that would be a priority that we would be looking to meet, you know, if this afforded the opportunity.
I have a question. If we were to do this and someone from outside Diamond Head buys a pool pass, and we're going to have attendance with, we're going to have a non-attended pool with a keypad access, correct? That's the plan? So these people would be issued some kind of a access number? Yes. Would they be given a card, like a membership card?
No card. Just well, I don't know how they would
I like the, like Trey said, I like the idea of generating revenue, with the caveats that this membership would only be for pools, and the price would be at least the cost of dues, if not more. I'm with you. I'm in agreement with it. I think it's something we need to look at as a possible revenue generator. I don't know if it'll be successful or not, but I'm willing to give it a shot.
I have a comment. I think there's got to be some advantage to being a POA family and a member, and having outside people come into our pool is not favorable to them. So, I'm just against doing it because there's got to be some advantages to being in the POA to start with, and that is you have pools that is limited to the people that live here in Diamond Head. So, that's my input.
Can I ask, do you feel the same about golf, or is there something different about golf?
I didn't set up the golf. I would have done the same thing on golf given the opportunity.
So I have a comment. Looking at the Diamond Head POA family pool membership, they basically get everything that a Diamond Head member gets. A Diamond Head POA member gets.
Yeah, so that was one of the clarifications, Meg, that we made based upon your comments and Bob. They would get only access to the 4 pools and not the,
Not the 15%
yeah.
off and yada, yada, yada. Okay. And this is only for outside. The verbiage says, in the description for it, it says no matter where you live, but in the initial motion, it says parties beyond Diamond Head residents.
Yeah, that would be the primary, the where it gets sticky, the question is, well, if you live in Diamond Head and your covenants are expired, would you be allowed to purchase this pool membership? And my answer would be yeah, but I don't know why you would. It's more expensive and you don't get everything that you would get if you just buy the membership.
So I've talked to a member about this, and I'm a voice for her only because she's not here. And she owns 2 lots. She's paying for 2 lots. She's considering just getting a pool membership because it's cheaper. Do you understand what I'm saying?
In that case, it's cheaper than having to pay your membership on the 2 lots?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
That's something I didn't think about when you first brought it up.
Yeah, no, that's
until she brought it to my attention. I'm like, oh my God, yeah. I'd rather be a pool membership.
Yeah.
Well, with all the other incentives. Now, she won't get all those other, she won't get the 15% off and such things like that, but it just seems like, I don't know, probably because this is still on here for the agenda, that all this that they get is on there. Once it's reworded and implemented, maybe, but it's causing some members to go ahead and say that they don't want to be a member anymore.
And
That's the problem.
that was not the intent. So what I'd like to do with this, if I can procedurally, is make a motion to table until next month. I'd like to gather some more input from folks. I'd like to bring it back with a little cleaner language that articulates exactly what we're doing. And I'm really interested in hearing from folks. Again, if you would put my email in the meeting minutes and encourage folks to pass along their thoughts to me. I think that makes more sense than asking the board to vote on it tonight.
I think procedurally, and somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, if someone seconds your motion, we can then go ahead
I'll
and
second.
act on it. So Trey seconds the motion made by Michael to table this motion. Help me, yes.
Before you vote on that table motion, the pools are set to open May 1, right?
Yeah.
So this motion, if the table motion is granted, it won't be decided until after the pool's open. Does that complicate anything? Does that change your mind upon tabling it or not? I don't know.
I mean, you're only talking about 3 weeks.
Yeah, but how do you charge someone for the full season if it doesn't start, for instance, until June 1?
Well, you could always prorate the
Yeah.
membership or something.
Or just make it expensive. Okay, any further discussion on the motion or the tabling of the motion? let's see. So I think what we need to do is vote on tabling the motion. So all those in favor of tabling this motion till next?
Nancy, have we had a
you.
second to table the motion?
Trey did.
Okay,
yeah.
I'm sorry.
His voice
Okay.
isn't very loud. So all those in favor of tabling the motion, please raise your hand. Any opposed? No, the motion passes. Thank you very much for that great discussion. Do we have any member comments on non-agenda items?
No one signed up.
Okay. Our next meeting will be Monday, May 19th, 6 p.m., City Council Chambers. Before we adjourn, you can see that we said we would hold a 30-minute Q&A session after this meeting. I don't have any formal plan for how to do that. I'm thinking the board will hang out. You will come and ask the board members questions, and we'll just have a chit-chat. We're going to try that this time. We will be here until 7:20. That's 30 minutes from now, right?
Nancy, should we limit questions per individual?
Well, I'm
or-
just seeing it as more of an informal chat of the group, and they can ask anybody anything. We're not going to stay back here and talk to the microphone. I just, otherwise we'll never know who's going to answer what. I want to try that first, and if that doesn't work next time, we'll try something different. Is that okay with the board members? Anybody have any disagreements? And if board members can't stay, I understand. We kind of pulled this off real quickly.
I think we should handle the questions as a group instead of just people milling around and asking us questions. I
Oh,
think
okay.
they came here so they could ask us questions as a group.
Okay, I accept that. I had no plan. I have no specific idea. So let's first have a motion to adjourn this meeting, and then we'll go to the Q&A. So Trey moves to adjourn the
Second.
meeting. Anybody second?